"I'm sorry, I don't have enough money," said the single mother at the bakery. Little did she know who he was. Emily Parker felt her cheeks burn with shame as she counted the coins in her palm for the third time. She was $2 short for the French roll her 5-year-old son Ethan had been begging for since they left home on that chilly Saturday morning in Chicago. "I'm sorry, I don't have enough," she murmured to the cashier at Baker Street Bakery, handing back the bag of bread with trembling hands. Ethan clung tighter to her leg, sensing the tension in the air, though he didn't fully understand what was happening. That's when a man's voice spoke behind her. "Let me pay for it." Emily turned and saw a well-dressed man in his 40s, with neatly trimmed brown hair and an impeccable grey suit. He held a leather wallet and looked at her with an expression she couldn't decipher. "No, thank you, sir." "That's not necessary," she replied quickly, pulling Ethan by the hand toward the exit. "Please," he insisted, already handing the money to the cashier. "It's just a few dollars." Emily hesitated. Ethan stared at the man curiously, then at her, then at the fresh bread in the display case. His stomach growled softly, and her heart ached. "All right," she whispered, "but I'll pay you back as soon as I can." The man paid without another word. When she took the bag of bread and headed for the door, she muttered a barely audible, "Thank you." She didn't notice that he stood frozen in place, watching her leave with tears in his eyes. The following Monday, Emily arrived early at the downtown office building where she worked as a cleaning assistant. It was 6 in the morning, and the streets were still empty. She liked this time of day, when she could work quietly in the offices before the employees arrived. She was cleaning the third-floor reception area when she heard footsteps in the hallway. It was unusual. No one ever came in this early. When she looked up, she saw the same man from the bakery standing in the doorway. "Good morning," he said, and Emily nearly dropped her cleaning cloth. What are you doing here?" "I work here. Actually, I own the company. Michael Thompson," he introduced himself, extending his hand. Emily quickly wiped her hands on her apron before shaking his. "Emily Parker. I work for the cleaning service contracted here." "I know," Michael said, and something in his tone made her uneasy. "Can I speak with you for a moment?" They sat in the reception chairs. Michael seemed nervous, fidgeting as he spoke. "I need an administrative assistant, someone trustworthy, responsible. The salary would be 3 times what you're making now." Emily eyed him skeptically. "Why are you offering this to me? You don't even know me." "I saw how you acted at the bakery. Even without money, you kept your dignity. That says a lot about a person. Mr. Thompson, I appreciate it, but I don't accept charity." "It's not charity, it's a job, with a contract, benefits, everything proper." Emily stood up. "Thank you, but I can't accept." That same week, Ethan woke up with a high fever. Emily spent the whole night applying cold compresses and giving him medicine, but his temperature wouldn't drop. By morning, she decided to take him to the public hospital. They spent the entire day in the emergency room. By the time they got home, it was already night, and Emily found a message from her cleaning supervisor on her phone. She was fired for missing work without notice. She sat on her son's bed. He was finally asleep, his fever slightly lower, and cried silently. She had no money for next month's rent nor to buy food. The next morning, she took the business card Michael had left with her and dialed. "Can I speak with you?" she said when he answered. "Of course. You can come now." An hour later, Emily was back in Michael's office, this time as a future employee. "You can start today," he said, after she accepted the offer. "I'll ask Dorothy, my secretary, to show you around. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, back to it. Emily's first days at the company were strange. Dorothy, the secretary, a woman in her 60s who had worked there for decades, treated her with a deference that made no sense for someone just hired. "If you need anything outside your job description, just let me know, okay?" Dorothy said on the second day. "Michael made it very clear you have priority in everything." "Priority? But why?" Dorothy shrugged, but Emily could tell she knew something she wasn't sharing. During lunch, Emily went to the restroom, and on her way back, she saw Michael talking to a client in the hallway. He was gesturing nervously, and she overheard part of the conversation. "I'm sorry, but I'll have to reschedule our meeting. Something urgent came up." "But Michael, this meeting's been set for weeks. It's about the $2 million contract." "I know, but there are more important things." Emily quickly greeted them and headed to her desk. Minutes later, Michael appeared beside her. "How are you settling in? Do you need anything?" "Everything's fine, thank you. If you have any problems, anything at all, come to me, okay?" That afternoon, while organizing some papers on Michael's desk, Emily noticed a photo half hidden behind the computer. It was an old, faded picture of a young man who looked like Michael himself, hugging a woman. Emily was startled. The woman in the photo had the same face shape as hers, the same dark curly hair, even the same height. The resemblance was uncanny. "Emily!" Michael's voice behind her made her jump. "Sorry, I was organizing the papers and accidentally saw the photo." Michael turned pale. He quickly grabbed the photo and put it in a drawer. It's an old picture." "She looks a lot like me," Emily said softly. Michael stared at her for a long moment before sighing deeply. "Let's talk. Can you close the door?" They sat down and Michael stayed silent for nearly a minute before speaking. "That woman in the photo is my sister, Sarah Thompson. She's been gone for many years." "Gone?" "She left home and never came back. I haven't heard from her since." Emily's heart raced. "And I look like her." "Too much," Michael said, his voice choked. "When I saw you at the bakery for a second, I thought it was her, that she'd come back." "Is that why you offered me the job?" Michael nodded, unable to meet her eyes. "I know it sounds crazy, but when I saw you with your son, struggling financially, it reminded me of her. Sarah also had a child on her own. My parents kicked her out because of it." Emily stood up, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. "So I'm just a replacement, a reminder of your sister?" That's exactly it," she interrupted. "You hired me because I remind you of her, not for who I am." "Emily, please, and thank you for the job, but I can't stay like this. I don't want to be anyone's shadow." She left the room, leaving Michael alone. That night, Emily barely slept. The discovery had shaken her, but at the same time, it intrigued her. There was something in Michael's story that didn't add up. If he cared so much about his sister, why hadn't he gone after her? The next day, she arrived at work determined to get to the bottom of it. "Michael, we need to talk." "Emily, I'm glad you came. I thought you might quit." "I almost did, but I have some questions." They sat down again, and this time Emily took the initiative. "Why did you never look for your sister?" Michael sighed. "I did, for years. I hired detectives, visited towns, placed ads in newspapers. I never found any trace of her." "And what exactly happened? Why did she leave home?" "Sarah got pregnant at 17. The baby's father disappeared when he found out. My parents, especially my mother, said she had shamed the family. They wanted her to give the baby up for adoption." "And she didn't want to?" "Sarah was stubborn. She said she'd raise the child alone. My parents gave her an ultimatum: either get rid of the baby or leave home." "And you, what did you do?" Michael lowered his head. "I was young, just 18. I depended on my parents for everything. When they made me choose between staying with the family or supporting Sarah," he paused, emotional, "I made the wrong choice." "You abandoned her." "Yes, and I've regretted it every day since." Emily felt a tightness in her chest. Sarah's story was so much like her own. "What was she like? Your sister?" "Brave, determined. Even as a girl, she always knew what she wanted. She worked at a clothing store to help at home. She was very affectionate with the neighborhood kids." "And after she left?" "My parents never spoke her name again. They hid all the photos as if she'd never existed. Only I kept this one picture in secret." "But you kept looking?" "Always. Even after my parents passed, I kept searching. I have an entire folder with private investigators' reports." Emily fell silent, processing it all. "Can I see that folder?" Michael hesitated. "Why?" "Maybe I can help. Two heads are better than one." That afternoon, Michael showed Emily a folder filled with dozens of documents. Detectives' reports, copies of records, photos of women who might have been Sarah, lists of hospitals where she might have given birth. "Look at this," Emily said, pointing to a document. "This detective checked maternity wards in Tampa, but didn't look into Milwaukee's." "Milwaukee? Why Milwaukee?" "It's close to Chicago, but far enough to start a new life, and there were plenty of job opportunities back then." Michael looked at her in awe. "You're right. Why didn't I think of that? Sometimes we get so focused on one direction that we miss other possibilities." They spent the rest of the afternoon reorganizing the information and mapping out a new search plan. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now back to the story. Over the following weeks, Emily and Michael grew closer as they worked together to find Sarah. Emily discovered that Michael was nothing like she'd first imagined. He was kind, devoted, and carried deep guilt over his sister. "Why are you helping me?" he asked one afternoon as they sorted through new documents they'd obtained. "Because I know what it's like to be a single mother without family support," Emily replied. "I was lucky to have a mother who stood by me, even though she was very religious and conservative. But many women aren't that lucky." "Your mother, is she alive?" "No, she passed when Ethan was 2. That's when everything got harder." "And Ethan's father?" "Disappeared when he found out I was pregnant. Typical." Michael nodded in understanding. "Sarah used to say all men were the same, that they ran at the first sign of trouble." "She wasn't wrong," Emily said with a sad smile. That weekend, they decided to visit Milwaukee to investigate in person. Michael insisted on bringing Ethan along, saying the boy shouldn't be left alone. "Uncle Michael," Ethan said in the car, using the nickname he'd spontaneously adopted, "why are we looking for Aunt Sarah?" "Because family is important, Ethan, and sometimes we make mistakes we need to fix." At the first maternity ward they visited, an older nurse recognized Sarah's photo immediately. "Of course I remember her, Sarah Thompson, brave girl. She had a daughter here in 1982. Michael held Emily's hand tightly. "A daughter, are you sure?" "Absolutely sure. Beautiful, healthy baby. Sarah stayed here for a week after the birth, said she had nowhere to go." "And then, what happened to them?" "Sarah got a job at a textile factory, rented a small room nearby. They always came for the baby's checkups." "For how long?" "About 2 years, give or take. Then they stopped coming." "Do you know where they went?" "I don't, but I can give you the address where they lived back then." The address led them to an old boarding house in downtown Milwaukee. The owner, an 80-year-old woman, remembered Sarah well. "Hard-working girl, that Sarah. Up early, home late, but always took good care of her little girl. What was her name again? Emma? Yes, Emma." "Do you know where they went when they left here?" "Oh, that I know. Sarah got a better job in Chicago. Came to say goodbye. So happy. Said she was finally going to give her daughter a good life." Back in Chicago, Michael was thrilled. "Emily, she came back to Chicago. Sarah is here." "She might be," Emily corrected. "That was over 20 years ago. A lot could have happened." But Michael didn't want to hear about negative possibilities. In the following days, he hired a new team of investigators and expanded the search across the entire metropolitan area. That's when the problems started. One morning, Emily noticed a man standing in front of her building, staring at her window. When she went out to take Ethan to school, the man was gone. The next day, the same man was on the corner near Ethan's school. Emily felt a chill and decided to take a different route home. "Michael," she said when she got to work, "someone's following me." "What do you mean?" "A man. I've seen him 3 times in different places." Michael was immediately concerned. "Could be one of the investigators I hired." "I'll call them." But when Michael called, all the investigators said they weren't watching Emily. "Then who is it?" she asked nervously. "I don't know, but I'll find out." That afternoon, as Emily left work, the man approached her. "Emily Parker? Who wants to know? I'm a private investigator. I was hired to look into you." "By whom?" "Can't say. but I can tell you someone wants to know everything about your past." Emily's blood ran cold. "What kind of information?" "Where you were born, who your parents are, where you studied, where you worked, everything." "And did you find what you were looking for?" "Found some interesting things," the man said, pulling an envelope from his pocket. "Especially about your birth certificate." "What about my birth certificate?" "There are some inconsistencies. Seems you were registered under one name, but your original certificate had another." Emily took the envelope with trembling hands. "Who hired you?" "An older woman. Can't say more than that." The man walked away, leaving Emily alone with the envelope. When she got home, she carefully opened the document. It was a copy of her original birth certificate from a Milwaukee records office. But something was odd. The mother's name was different from what she'd always known. Instead of Jennifer Parker, it read Sarah Thompson. Emily sank heavily onto the couch. It couldn't be true. Her mother had always been Jennifer Parker. She was sure of it. Or was she? The more she thought, the more she remembered strange little details from her childhood. Jennifer never talked about family. There were no old photos. She always changed the subject when Emily asked about the past. And there was a box on top of the wardrobe that Jennifer had never let Emily open. After she passed away, Emily simply forgot about the box. That night, after Ethan fell asleep, Emily grabbed a chair and went to retrieve the box. It was covered in dust and locked with a small padlock, which she easily broke. Inside were old documents, photos, and letters, and there it was, Jennifer's original birth certificate, which revealed her real name was Sarah Thompson. Her mother had changed her name. There was also a handwritten letter addressed to "My dear brother Michael." With trembling hands, Emily opened the letter. "Michael, I know you'll never read this letter, but I need to write it anyway. Today, my daughter turned 5. She's beautiful, smart. She has your eyes and grandma's smile. I changed my name to Jennifer Parker to start a new life. Emma is now called Emily. I want to protect her from the past, from the family fights, from all that pain. I know you chose to stay with Dad and Mom. I don't blame you. We were so young, and the circumstances were hard. But I want you to know I forgive you. I hope you're happy, my brother. Maybe one day we can meet again when the wounds have healed. Have your loving sister, Sarah, now Jennifer." Emily let the letter slip from her hands. She could barely breathe. Michael was her uncle. Sarah was her mother. And she had spent weeks helping him search for someone who was already lost forever. Her mother had become Jennifer Parker and lived the rest of her life shielding Emily from a past she never even knew existed. Emily cried until she had no tears left. She cried for the mother who had carried the weight of such a painful decision alone. She cried for the uncle who had searched for them his whole life, not knowing they were so close. She cried for all the lost years, for all the conversations they never had, for all the memories they could have built together. The next morning, Emily arrived at work with deep, dark circles under her eyes and her hands still shaking. Michael saw her and immediately grew concerned. "Emily, what happened? You look terrible. We need to talk." They locked themselves in the office and Emily placed the birth certificate and the letter on the table. "Read," she said simply. Michael picked up the birth certificate first. When he saw the name Sarah Thompson, he turned pale. "Where did you get this?" "It's my original birth certificate." Michael stared at her, confused. "Yours? But this says you're the daughter of Sarah Thompson." "Because I am." "What do you mean?" "Read the letter, Michael." Michael took the letter with trembling hands. As he read, his legs grew weak, and he had to sit down. "It can't be," he murmured. "It can't be. Your sister Sarah changed her name to Jennifer Parker. She was my mother my whole life, and I'm Emma, the daughter she had." Michael looked at Emily as if seeing her for the first time. You're my niece." "I am." "Sarah, your mother. Where is she?" "She passed away 3 years ago. Cancer." Michael collapsed. He began to cry like a child, deep sobs racking his chest. "I searched for her my whole life, Emily, and she was here so close. She didn't want to be found," Emily said, crying too. "She wanted to protect me and you. She wanted you to live your life without carrying the guilt. But I carried it anyway all these years. They held each other and cried for a long time, crying for the Sarah who was gone, for the lost time, for the words never spoken. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. When they finally calmed down, Michael asked the question burning in his mind. Who hired the investigator to look into you? I don't know, he said it was an elderly woman. My mother, Michael said immediately. It has to be her. Your mother is still alive. She is. She's 82. Lives in a retirement home. And did she know Sarah was my mother? She probably suspected. When she saw you on your first day working here, she must have noticed the resemblance and had you investigated. That afternoon, Michael took Emily to meet his grandmother. Grandma Elizabeth Thompson was in the retirement home's living room, crocheting, when they arrived. Mom, Michael said, I brought someone to meet you. Grandma Elizabeth looked up, and when she saw Emily, she dropped her crochet hook. Sarah, she whispered. No, Mom. This is Emily, Sarah's daughter. Sarah's daughter? Grandma Elizabeth stood slowly, leaning on her cane. My granddaughter? Yes, Emily said, her voice trembling. Your granddaughter. Grandma Elizabeth stepped closer and touched Emily's face with shaky hands. You have her face. The same face I used to see in the mirror when I was young. Were you the one who had me investigated? Grandma Elizabeth lowered her head, ashamed. I did. When Michael brought you to work at the company, I knew you were special to him, but when I saw you, it was like seeing Sarah again. I had to be sure. Sure of what? That you weren't some opportunist trying to take advantage of my son. When I found out who you really were, she paused, emotional. I didn't know what to do. Why didn't you say anything? Because I was afraid, Grandma Elizabeth admitted. Afraid you'd hate me for what I did to your mother. Emily looked at the frail old woman in front of her. It was hard to believe this person had been capable of kicking her own daughter out. I don't hate you. But I need to understand. Why did you do that to my mother? Grandma Elizabeth sighed deeply. Times were different back then, my dear. A young unmarried woman getting pregnant was seen as a disgrace to the family. I was afraid of what people would say, how it would affect Michael's future. And that justified abandoning your own daughter? Nothing justifies it, Grandma Elizabeth said, tears in her eyes. Not a day goes by that I don't regret it. Not a night that I don't dream of her. Did you ever try to find her? I did. In the first few years after she left, I'd sneak out behind my husband's back to look for her, but I never found her. And then, my husband found out and forbade it. He said Sarah had made her choice and we were no longer her family. I was too weak to stand up to him. Emily felt a mix of anger and pity for the woman in front of her. My mother forgave you, she finally said. I found a letter she wrote. She said she forgave everyone. Grandma Elizabeth broke down in tears. She was always better than all of us, always stronger, braver. She was, Emily agreed. She raised me alone, worked twice as hard to give me a good life, never complained, and she never spoke badly about the family. Did she talk about us? Very little. She just said her family lived far away and that maybe when I was older we could meet. And now we're here, Michael said, emotional. Now we're here, Emily repeated. Grandma Elizabeth took Emily's hands in hers. My granddaughter, can you forgive me? Can you give me a chance to be the grandmother I never was? Emily looked at Michael, then back at Grandma Elizabeth. I'll need time. This is all a lot to process. I understand, but please don't disappear. Not like your mother. I couldn't bear losing you both again. I won't disappear, Emily promised. But let's take it slow. In the weeks that followed, Emily's life changed completely. Michael insisted on increasing her salary and position at the company, this time based on merit, not pity or resemblance. You're an excellent employee, he said. Organized, smart, responsible. You deserve recognition. Grandma Elizabeth began visiting Emily and Ethan regularly. At first, Ethan was surprised to suddenly have a great-grandmother, but he soon got used to the new family dynamic. "Grandma Elizabeth," he said one afternoon, "can you teach me how to make that cake my mom loved when she was little?" "Which cake, sweetheart?" She said her grandma used to make a really delicious carrot cake. Grandma Elizabeth was moved. "Sarah remembered my cake? Mom always talked about it when we ate carrot cake at the bakery. Then of course I'll teach you, my dear grandson. I'll teach you the family recipe." Emily watched these scenes with mixed emotions. It was good to see Ethan having more family, but it hurt to know her mother had carried so much longing alone. One afternoon, Michael arrived at work very agitated. "Emily, I found more things about Sarah." "What things?" "I was cleaning my parents' house. It's been closed up for years, and I found a box my mother had hidden. There are letters, photos, documents." "What kind of letters?" "Letters Sarah sent to me and my mother in the first years after she left. My father intercepted them. They never reached us." Emily felt her heart race. "Can I see them?" Michael showed her the letters. There were dozens written over 5 years. Sarah wrote about Emma, about the hardships, about missing her family. In every one, she asked for forgiveness and said she wanted to come home. "She wanted to come back," Emily murmured, "many times, until the letters stopped." "When did they stop?" "In 1987. Emma, you must have been 5. Emily remembered the letter she had found. It was from 1987. "That's when she gave up, when she decided to truly move on and protect me from you." "From us?" "Michael, my mother thought you didn't care about her. She must have sent letters for years without getting a response. At some point, she gave up and decided it was better this way." "If I had known, if my mother had known." "What would you have done? Your father was still alive. He still made the rules at home." Michael nodded sadly. "My father only changed in his final years. When he got sick, he started talking about Sarah. Said he missed her." "But he never tried to find her?" "He did. He asked me to hire investigators. That's when I started searching intensively. But it was already too late." "Why too late?" "Because your mother had already become Jennifer Parker. Sarah Thompson had disappeared completely." Emily began to understand the full picture. Her mother had built a new identity so well that even the most capable investigators couldn't trace her. "She was very smart," Emily said. "She knew you'd be looking for Sarah Thompson, not Jennifer Parker. And it worked perfectly. She lived 17 years as Jennifer without anyone suspecting, until I showed up in your life looking exactly like her." "Exactly." That night, Emily had a long talk with Ethan about their new family situation. "Mom, now I have an uncle and a great-grandma?" "Yes, sweetheart. And why did Grandma Jennifer never talk about them?" "Because she wanted to protect us. Sometimes adults do things that seem strange, but it's because they want to protect the people they love." "Did Grandma Jennifer not like them?" "She did. Very much. But they didn't agree on some important things." "And now we do?" "We're learning. Getting to know new family is like making new friends. It takes time." "I like Uncle Michael. He's nice." "He really is. And Grandma Elizabeth makes a really yummy cake." Emily smiled. To Ethan, the situation was simple. New family meant more people to love and more people who loved him. 2 months after the discovery, life had settled into a new routine. Emily kept working with Michael, now as an administrative manager. Grandma Elizabeth visited twice a week and had become a constant presence in Ethan's life. It was then that Michael made an unexpected proposal. "Emily, how about we do something to honor your mother? What kind of tribute? A mass, a lunch, something to celebrate her life, to say goodbye properly." Emily liked the idea. They organized a small ceremony at the neighborhood church where Jennifer had lived. Only Michael, Grandma Elizabeth, Ethan, and a few neighbors who knew Jennifer attended. During the Mass, the priest spoke about forgiveness, family, and second chances. Emily cried, but they were tears of relief. She felt she was finally making peace with the past. After the Mass, they went to a simple restaurant Jennifer used to frequent. Grandma Elizabeth asked to speak. "I want to apologize again to Sarah, even though she isn't here. And I want to promise Emily and Ethan that I'll try to be the family you deserve." "You already are," Emily said. "My mother would be happy to know we found each other." "She was always wiser than all of us," Michael added. "Even though she was so young, she knew what was right." "She was special," Grandma Elizabeth agreed, "and she raised a special daughter." Ethan, who had stayed quiet during the adults' conversation, raised his hand. "Can I say something?" "Of course, sweetheart," Emily said. "I think Grandma Jennifer is happy in heaven because we found each other. She always said family is the most important thing in the world." The adults exchanged emotional glances. Ethan's simplicity had perfectly summed up everything they were feeling. 6 months later, their family routine was fully established. Ethan called Michael Uncle and Grandma Elizabeth Grandma. Michael had become a present father figure, taking Ethan to soccer on weekends and helping with homework. Grandma Elizabeth had moved to a smaller apartment closer to Emily so she could visit more often. She taught Emily recipes, told Ethan family stories, and slowly filled the gaps Jennifer had left. Emily, in turn, had not only become a valuable employee at Michael's company, but also a true partner. She had innovative ideas, understood the popular market well, and had helped the company expand into new segments. "Emily," Michael said one afternoon, "I have a proposal for you." "What kind of proposal?" "I want to give you a stake in the company. You're not just my employee, you're family, and family shares everything." "Michael, I can't accept that. It's too much responsibility." "You already handle partner-level responsibilities. This just makes it official." "What if I can't handle it?" "You will. Sarah raised a strong, smart woman. I'm sure of it." Emily accepted the offer, but with conditions. She wanted to start slowly, learn the business thoroughly, and prove she deserved the opportunity. In December, a year after their meeting at Baker Street Bakery, they threw a party to celebrate. They invited all the company's employees, neighbors, and Ethan's school friends. During the party, Michael made a toast. "A year ago, I was a lonely man, carrying the guilt of losing my sister. Today, I have a complete family, a niece I admire, a great nephew I adore, and a mother who's finally found peace. And we," Emily added, "only had each other. Now we have a big family, with people who love us and whom we love." Grandma Elizabeth, frailer with age but with shining eyes, stood to speak. "Sarah always said, family isn't just who you're born with, but who chooses to stay. Now I understand what she meant. You chose to forgive me, accept me, and give me a second chance. That's real family." Ethan, who had grown so much that year, both physically and emotionally, also wanted to speak. "I'd like to thank everyone for taking care of my mom and me. Grandma Jennifer always said that if we're good to people, good things happen, and that's exactly what happened to us." The party lasted late into the night. When everyone had left, the family stayed behind to clean up. "Emily," Michael said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you regret anything? The way everything happened?" Emily thought for a moment. "I don't regret a thing. Of course, I wish my mum were here to see all this. I wish you had met sooner, but I wouldn't change anything that happened this year." "Why?" "Because it was exactly how it was meant to be. If we had met any other way, maybe we wouldn't have built the relationship we have today. Maybe you'd still see me as just a shadow of Sarah. And now? Now you see me as Emily, as who I really am." "That's true," Grandma Elizabeth said. "You're not Sarah. You're you. And we love you for who you are." At the start of the next year, Emily made an important decision. She wanted to legally change her name back to Emma Thompson Parker, not to erase Jennifer Parker, but to honor both the mother who raised her and the family who welcomed her. "Are you sure?" Michael asked. "I am. I want Ethan to carry the Thompson name too. He has a right to know where he comes from. And if he asks why you're changing it, I'll tell him the truth, that we're bringing both families together as one." The legal process took a few months, but finally, Emily became Emma again, and Ethan became Ethan Thompson Parker. "Now we're officially family," Michael joked when the new documents were ready. "We always were," Emma replied. "Now it's just on paper." 2 years after the meeting at the bakery, life had completely transformed for everyone. The business thrived under the shared management of Michael and Emma. Grandma Elizabeth, despite her age, was more lively and active than she'd been in years. Ethan excelled in school and had developed a confident, caring personality. Emma had become a pillar of the neighborhood. Single women facing financial struggles sought her out for advice and help. She always made sure to say that everything she'd achieved came through hard work and persistence, but having a family who supported her made all the difference. "Life is funny," she said to Michael one afternoon as they watched Ethan play in the park with other kids. "Why?" "We spend so much time searching for things that were already close to us. You searched for Sarah your whole life, and she was right here, in the daughter who lived in the same city as you." "And you?" "I spent my whole life thinking I had no family besides Ethan, and you were all here waiting to find us? Do you think your mother planned all this?" "I don't know, but I think she knew the truth would come out someday. Maybe that's why she kept all those letters and documents. So you could find us when the time was right." "Exactly." They sat in silence for a moment, watching Ethan build sandcastles with the other children. "Emily?" "Yes?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For giving me a second chance. For letting me be part of your family. For teaching me it's never too late to make up for past mistakes." "Thank you too." "For what?" "For paying for those French rolls at the bakery," she said with a smile. "For offering me a job. For helping me when I needed it most, even without knowing who I was." "I knew who you were," Michael said, "even if I didn't realize it. My heart knew you were family." "How can you be sure?" "Because I'd never helped a stranger before. I had never offered a job to someone I'd just met. Something about you told me you were special. Maybe it was my mother guiding us," Emily said. "Maybe. Sarah was always stubborn. Even after leaving, she found a way to bring us together." Ethan ran up to them, covered in sand. "Mom, Uncle Michael, look at the castle I made." It was a large castle with several towers and walls. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," Emily said. "Who is the castle for?" "For our whole family. There's a room for you, one for me, one for Uncle Michael, one for Grandma Elizabeth, and one for Grandma Jennifer, who's in heaven but can visit whenever she wants." Emily and Michael exchanged emotional glances. Ethan's innocence had perfectly captured what everyone felt, that Jennifer, even though she was gone, was still part of the family. "It's the most beautiful castle I've ever seen," Michael said, hugging Ethan. "Will it last forever?" "Nothing lasts forever, Ethan," Emily explained. "But good memories do, and the love we feel for our family lasts forever." "So our family will last forever?" "Forever," she promised. That night, after Ethan fell asleep, Emily stayed up looking at the photos she had hung on the wall. Photos of Jennifer, new ones with Michael and Grandma Elizabeth, photos of Ethan at different moments. "Thank you, Mom," she whispered. "Thank you for being so strong. Thank you for protecting me. And thank you for finding a way to bring us back together with our family." It was as if Jennifer were there, smiling and saying everything had worked out. 3 years later, when Ethan turned 8, they threw a big party in the same hall where they had celebrated the first year of their family reunion. This time there were many more people, school friends, co-workers, neighbors, employees from the company. During the party, Grandma Elizabeth, now 85 but still sharp and active, asked to make a speech. "My dears," she began, her voice steady, "when I was young I made terrible mistakes. I lost my daughter because of pride and prejudice. I thought I'd never get the chance to fix those mistakes." She paused to wipe away the tears that had started to fall, "But life gave me a second chance through all of you. Emily, you taught me that forgiveness isn't about forgetting what happened, but choosing to love despite it. Ethan, you taught me that family is who's present, not who shares the same blood. And Michael," she looked at her son, "you taught me it's never too late to be a better person." She took a deep breath before continuing. "Sarah taught me, even after she was gone, that true love doesn't end with separation. That real family always finds a way back together. That's why today I want to make an announcement. I'm donating half of my estate to a fund that will help struggling single mothers. The fund will be called the Sarah Jennifer Thompson Parker Foundation, in honor of my daughter who was too brave for this world. The audience applauded tearfully. Emily couldn't stop crying. "Grandma Elizabeth," Ethan said, tugging her skirt, "can I help with the foundation too?" "Of course, my dear. What kind of help do you want to give? I can teach kids how to make sandcastles, and I can share my toys with those who don't have any. Yes, you can. The foundation will need big hearts like yours." The party went on late into the night, but this time with a different feeling. It wasn't just a family celebration. It was the start of something bigger. The foundation would be the family's way of honoring Jennifer's memory and helping others facing the same struggles they had endured. In the following months, Emily devoted herself entirely to setting up the foundation. Together with Michael, she visited shelters, spoke with social workers, and studied cases of single mothers in vulnerable situations. "You know what impresses me the most?" she said to Michael during one of these visits. "What?" "How many women are in the same situation I was in, alone without family support, struggling to raise their children. And how strong they are. So strong, stronger than they realize. Like your mother was." "Like my mother was," she agreed. The foundation opened 6 months later in a small but functional headquarters downtown. It offered psychological support, vocational training, daycare for the children, and legal guidance. On opening day, one of the first women helped by the foundation approached Emily. "Thank you," the woman said. "I don't know what would have happened to me and my daughter without this help." "You're welcome," Emily replied. "Everyone deserves a second chance." "Did you go through this too?" "I did. And I was lucky to find people who helped me. Now I want to help others." "How did you get out of that situation?" Emily looked around. Michael was talking to some of the mothers, explaining the available courses. Grandma Elizabeth was in the corner playing with the children, despite her age. Ethan was helping distribute snacks to everyone. "With a lot of hard work," she answered, "but mostly with the support of family. And family isn't just who you're born with. It's who chooses to stay with you. My family abandoned me when I got pregnant. Mine too, but I found a new family, and you will too." "Are you sure?" "I am. Sometimes the family we need is closer than we think." 5 years after that morning at the bakery, everyone's lives had changed in extraordinary ways. The foundation was helping over 200 families a month. Emily had become a respected businesswoman and a leader in social work. Michael had found purpose beyond his career. Grandma Elizabeth, despite her age, was an active volunteer, beloved by all the children at the foundation, and Ethan had grown into a confident, kind boy, deeply aware of the importance of helping others. "Mum," he said one night as they did homework together, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetheart." "Do you remember what our life was like before we met Uncle Michael and Grandma Elizabeth?" Emily thought for a moment. "I do." "Why do you ask?" "Because sometimes I'm afraid this is all a dream and I'll wake up and we'll be alone again." Emily stopped what she was doing and looked at her son. "Ethan, look at me. This is real. Our family is real. The love they have for us is real. And it's never going away." "How can you be sure?" "Because real love doesn't disappear. It might stay hidden for a while, like it did with our family. But it always finds a way to show itself. Like how Grandma Jennifer watched over us even after she went to heaven. Exactly like Grandma Jennifer watched over us." Ethan was quiet for a moment. "Mom, when I grow up, I want to work at the foundation too." "Why?" "Because I want to help other kids like you helped me. And like Uncle Michael and Grandma Elizabeth helped us." Emily hugged him tightly. "I know you'll help so many people, my love. You have Grandma Jennifer's heart, Grandma Elizabeth's, and Uncle Michael's. You were born to do good." "And you, Mom? Who do I get my heart from?" "I think you have a heart all your own, unique and special." That night, after Ethan fell asleep, Emily stepped onto the balcony of their new apartment. It was bigger, in a nicer neighborhood, but she made sure it was still close to the foundation and her business. She looked up at the stars and thought about everything that had happened, from that difficult morning at the bakery to becoming a respected businesswoman and philanthropist. From a single mother with no prospects to a woman who helped other mothers find their way. "Thank you," she said aloud, speaking to Jennifer, to the universe, to life. "Thank you for giving me the strength to face hardships. Thank you for bringing Michael into my path. Thank you for showing me that family isn't just those you're born with, but those who choose to walk beside you." It was as if Jennifer were there, by her side, smiling and saying she was proud. On the last Saturday of December, exactly 5 years after that morning at the bakery, the family decided to return to the place where it all began. Baker Street Bakery was still there, with the same owner, the same cashier, the same smell of fresh bread. "Remember when we first came here all together?" Michael asked. "How could I forget?" Emily replied. "Ethan was so amazed by all the sweets, he didn't even know what to choose." "And now?" Grandma Elizabeth asked Ethan. "What do you want today?" Ethan looked at the display full of bread, cakes, and sweets, then at the family around him. "I want a French roll. The same one we couldn't buy that day." "Why a French roll?" Michael asked. "You can pick anything." "Because it was the French roll that brought our family together," Ethan explained. "If we'd managed to buy it that day, maybe we never would have met you all." The adults exchanged emotional glances. Ethan's wisdom never failed to surprise them. They bought French rolls for everyone and sat at a table in the bakery to eat together. "To our family," Michael toasted with his juice glass. "To second chances," Grandma Elizabeth added. "To Grandma Jennifer, who's watching over us from heaven," Ethan said. "And to the love that brought us here," Emily finished. They ate in silence for a moment, each lost in their own thoughts and memories. "You know what I think?" Emily finally said. "What?" they all asked together. "That my mother was right when she said if we're good to people, good things happen. She was good her whole life, even through hardships. And in the end, good things came." "She was special," Grandma Elizabeth agreed. "She raised a special daughter who's raising a special grandson. And who found a special family," Michael added. "No," Ethan corrected. "We didn't find a special family. We became a special family." The end. And you? What did you think of this story of second chances and family love? Let us know in the comments if you believe forgiveness can truly transform lives, and share if you've ever experienced something similar. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.